So today was my first day of doing research over the summer, and I'm going to tell you how you can start research. So first of all, how did I get started getting into this research? So I emailed. I'm very proactive as a student, and when there's an opportunity that I really want to take advantage of, I go out and find it. So I really wanted to do research over the summer and in the fall semester coming up because I want to be an oncology pharmacist. I need a residency for that, and residencies like to see that you've dabbled in research and stuff most of the time. So I asked around to some people that I know are doing research to see what kind I might be interested in.
And definitely didn't care for the labs and pipettes and that type of thing and working with mice and stuff. No.
But my other friend said that he had been involved in a project where he helped to consent patients for a research trial. So of course I got the name of the faculty member that he worked with. I shot her an email, and again, even that pharmacy student was like, well, another professor introduced me to her, so maybe you should wait for her to introduce you to that pharmacy professor. But I'm Cherokee, so of course I just emailed her myself and got the ball rolling. And then it was easy enough. I saw her like later that week. We scheduled an appointment. I sat down with her. She kind of talked to me about what it means to be research, because she was eager to tell me about her path and different paths that I could take to go towards that. And then she was able to tell me about the studies that she was working on. And I didn't actually end up working on one of her studies. Actually, while we were on the meeting, she said, hold on, I have the perfect study for you. She went, walked out of the room, knocked on someone's door, brought the professor in, and then I ended up doing research with this professor. So that's really how it all started, with me wanting to do something, getting more information about it, and then emailing the person and setting something up, and then bam, I got this, have a research project for the summer. So my role in the study is to consent patients. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting at the clinic for this certain physicians, doctors. I'm asking them before they get their blood drawn, kind of talking to them about the study, see if they're consenting to give samples, which is just 2 extra vials of blood, one for DNA, one for RNA, and then they sign the papers. There's a lot of other nuancy type things I have to do, and then I have to transport the many blood vial samples from the clinic across the street under the tunnel to the lab where it will be actually stored. So that's my role, and with this study it's been going on for I think a year and a half now, and they haven't enrolled many patients because they don't have anyone designated to consent patients into the study, and so that's where I come in for this summer. So I think we'll see a lot of an increase in patients for this study now that I'm helping to be the sole person that works on patient consent. So what is my actual study? A little background, a lot of times when patients get chemotherapy, certain drugs that they use specifically, well, there's a big class of drug called anthracyclines that causes, and a lot of other drugs, but a lot of the targeted medications like the HER2 inhibitors are starting to see that down the line, even though the chemo treatment might work now, it's causing problems with patients' hearts. They're having cardiotoxicity and getting heart failure and left ventricular dysfunction and all types of things down the line after the cancer is cured. So that's kind of a new epidemic going on with cancer treatment now. So now there's a new kind of segment called Cardio Oncology, in which oncologists and cardiologists are kind of coming together and seeing how can they prevent cardiotoxicity in patients, and what's happening. So for this study in particular, what they're looking at is, patients getting the same medication, but some of them end up with cardiac toxicity and others don't. So the school I go to, UF, they love their pharmacogenomics. So the samples that I'm collecting, they're going to use those and to see the patient down the line, whether or not they get cardiotoxicity, and then they're going to sequence their genes and look for certain mutations or markers to see what could possibly make patients more susceptible to getting cardiotoxicity. And then from there, they're going to see how they can go about handling the cancer treatment for patients that are more susceptible, less susceptible, however the outcomes end up being the results in whatever guidelines become implemented because of this research. So it's really kind of cutting edge. On top of what I'm actually doing in the research, the professor I'm working under, not the physician over the clinic, but the professor I'm working under is a PhD professor in the College of Pharmacy, and we're looking to present research at the Cardio Oncology Summit, which is a global research conference that's taking place this year. And so, like I said, since cardio oncology is a relatively new field, it's also a relatively small conference. And if we can present our research at that conference, that would be amazing. And so, throughout the summer, I'm at the clinic consulting patients Mondays and Wednesdays. But outside of that, I'm also working on the abstract. Specifically, I was tasked with doing background research for HER2 inhibitors.
HER2 inhibitors, which are drugs that are meant to target breast cancer tumors that have HER2 positive mutation. Because in breast cancer, your tumor can have different characteristics, and if it's positive for this certain HER2 mutation, then they have a specific class of drugs that they can use to target that mutation and kill the tumor.
I'll be presenting this background research to a group of people that are kind of working on this research project, and so other people on this research committee kind of project are doing other specific targeted drug therapies, and like I said, mine is HER2, someone else is doing other tyrosine kinase inhibitors, and so on and so forth. So that ranges from the PhD professor that I'm working under, the oncologist that I'm working in his clinic, another cardiologist that was consented on this information, a cardiology fellow, and then statisticians that help to deal with the data, because not only are we collecting samples for that particular study, but for the abstracts that we want to present at the global conference, we have a huge data set that we're working with hundreds of thousands of patients. That's also what we're using to kind of get this research fast-tracked, and we can get some results out of it and draw some conclusions and have some really interesting research going on. I tried to explain everything the best that I can, and I kind of give you a walkthrough of how I got to do what I'm doing and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So if you do have any questions in relation to that, please comment below, and I love to answer your questions. And then, of course, if you have any questions on the kind of subject matter that I was talking about, so I know I use a lot of big medical terms and things, and I tried to dilute it as much as I could, but it is very interesting stuff, and I would be happy to kind of dive more deeply into it with anyone that has any questions about it. So also feel free to comment about that below too. And then, thank you for riding with me during my journey through pharmacy school. Please subscribe if you like my content, and I'll keep making more things and doing more things outside of just a curriculum. How-tos on how to kind of go for it like I go for it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm super excited, and I'm happy to be sharing this with you first take after the end of my first day. Thanks.